Top 10 biggest archaeological discoveries of 2019. Hello everybody and welcome to Ancient Insights. Please subscribe now to get the latest on ancient history news, archaeology, ancient civilizations and world mythology. Please stick around, let's get started. The year 2019 was a remarkable year for the world of archaeology as many discoveries were made during the year. The well-preserved colorful tomb in Egypt, Bronze Age megalopolis in Israel, a cachette of priests near Luxor in Egypt, and a massive ancient wall in western Iran are just a few of the many incredible archaeological stories that came to light in 2019. In this video, we take a look at 10 of the biggest and most incredible archaeological discoveries that emerged in 2019. Head-dropping find. Archaeologists find 17 decapitated skeletons, their heads resting between their own legs or feet, in a 1,700-year-old Roman cemetery in the village of Great Wellington in Suffolk, England. Their skulls appear to have been removed after death. The incisions through the neck were post-mortem and were neatly placed just behind the jaw. Surprisingly, no grave goods were found with the headless individuals, though their bones were in good shape, suggesting the individuals were well nourished. A few of the individuals had tuberculosis, which was common in farming communities at the time. Why the heads of these people were removed is a mystery. One possibility is that the ancient people at the time believed that the head was a container of the soul and needed to be removed so that one could advance to the afterlife. The most perfectly preserved and colorful tomb in Egypt. Egypt divulged a wealth of ancient secrets in 2019. By far the most colorful discovery of the year was that of the 4,400-year-old tomb of Kuwait, an official who lived at a time when the pyramids were being constructed in Egypt. Hieroglyphs found in the tomb reveal Kuwait's many titles, including the overseer of the Kentushi of the Great House, Great One of the Ten of Upper Egypt, and the sole friend of the Pharaoh. All these titles indicate that he was an official of some importance. But what set this discovery apart is the remarkable preservation of the tomb's colorful paintings. The paintings include depictions of sheep at sail, Egyptians walking in the field, and complex patterns that are almost impossible to describe in words. The colors bring these paintings to life, and the fact that they are so well preserved despite the passage of more than 2 millennia of time is unusual. Number 8. Failed attempt to leave Africa. The belief that if you failed to achieve your goal at the first attempt, try again and again and again. That was a lesson that Homo sapiens learned about 210,000 years ago, as a skull found in a cave in southern Greece revealed. The skull is the earliest example of Homo sapiens skull found outside of Africa and reveals a failed attempt by humans to spread beyond Africa, researchers said. But where Homo sapiens failed, Neanderthals succeeded. A 170,000-year-old skull found in the same cave reveals that it wasn't until much later that Homo sapiens successfully spread outside Africa, the study scientists said. We know from the genetic evidence that all humans that are alive today outside of Africa can trace their ancestry to the major dispersals out of Africa between 70,000 and 50,000 years before the present. This is according to researcher Katerina Havarti, a professor of paleoanthropology at the University of Tübingen in Germany. Homo sapiens eventually became the only hominid species on the planet, with Neanderthals and other hominids becoming extinct. Valley of the Kings discoveries. On October 2019, archaeologists in Egypt announced a plethora of discoveries in the Valley of the Kings, where royalty were buried some 3,000 years ago. In the Western Valley, They found a workshop complex where workers manufactured materials for the tombs. There were workshops for coloring pottery, manufacturing furniture, and cleaning gold, among many others. They also found a room dug into the valley that was used for mummification, complete with the remains of linen, rope, and other materials left over from the mummification process. They also found a piece of wood with two prongs that may have been used to move furniture. Archaeologists also found new examples of ostraka, pottery with writing on it that reveal records left behind by the Valley of the King's workers. They found an area used to bake bread and store food and water. They also discovered two female mummies near the tomb of the powerful female pharaoh Hatshepsut. Bronze Age megalopolis discovered. A 5,000-year-old early Bronze Age megalopolis that was home to around 6,000 people, a large population at the time, was discovered at the site of En Esor in Israel. Millions of pottery fragments, flint tools, basalt stone vessels, and a large temple filled with burnt animal bones and figurines were discovered in the city. One of the figurines depicts a human head with a sealed impression on it, showing human head. The temple had a huge stone basin that held liquid that were probably used for religious rituals. The city's residential and public areas, streets, alleyways, and temples appear to have been carefully planned out. This is a huge city, a megalopolis, in relation to the early Bronze Age, where thousands of inhabitants who made their living from agriculture lived and traded with different regions and even with different cultures. New evidence of Pontius Pilate revealed. Pontius Pilate, the Roman prefect of Judea who presided over the trial of Jesus Christ, bad reputation throughout history. But in 2019, archaeologists made a find that suggests he may not have been such a bad guy. Archaeologists found that Pilate built a grand street in Jerusalem that stretched for 2,000 feet and connected a Siloam pool, a place where pilgrims could stop to bath and get fresh water, to the Temple Mount, the most holy basin. Researchers were able to tell that the street was built by Pilate because date to between 30 and 31 AD, a time when Pilate was prefect. Ancient record says that in addition to presiding over Jesus' trial, Pilate also seized money from a sacred treasury to build an aqueduct, violated Jewish religious laws, and clubbed people protesting his actions. The newly identified street, which would have required 10,000 tons of quarried limestone rocks to construct, suggests that Pilate wasn't as corrupt and uncaring as historical records claim. Before this find, very little archaeological evidence linked to Pontius Pilate had been discovered. Cachette of the priests. Archaeologists discovered 30 perfectly preserved sealed wooden coffins dating back to 3,000 years in El Asasif, a necropolis near Luxor in Egypt. They called the discovery the cachette of the priests, since some of the mummies appear to be those of ancient Egyptian priests. The vividly colored and complex patterns on the coffins are well preserved despite the passage of 3 millennia. The mummies within the coffins are also well preserved. When two of the coffins were opened at a news conference, the outer wrappings of the mummies looked untouched. Archaeologists found that 23 adult males, 5 females, and 2 children were buried in the 30 wooden coffins. Analysis of the mummies and translations of the hieroglyph is ongoing, and more finds about this cachette will likely emerge. It is remarkable that for such a long period of time, grave robbing was a common occurrence in Egypt, both in ancient and modern. Huge discovery in the United Kingdom. This 2,200-year-old grave containing the remains of a man who died in his 40s and who was buried with an intricate bronze shield, a chariot, and 2 horses in a leaping pose was said to be one of the most important archaeological discoveries ever made in the United Kingdom. The shield is about 30 inches across and is decorated with a series of complex swirls and what looks like a sphere protruding from its center. The man was likely a significant member of a society, said Paula Ware, an archaeologist with MAP Archaeological Practice Limited, who led the team that discovered the grave near Pocklington in England. According to Paula Ware, the fact that it was found intact and excavated using modern archaeological techniques makes the site particularly important. Massive wall of about 115 kilometers found. A wall stretching for about 115 kilometers was documented in western Iran, running north-south between towns in the north and an area near Zalmag village in the south. It took an estimated 1 million cubic meters of stones to build. While local inhabitants and a few archaeologists had known about the existence of the wall, it had never been described in a journal until when an article in the journal Antiquity written by Ali Baigi, an assistant professor of Iranian archaeology at Razi University in Kermanshah, Iran, was published. Remnants of structures now destroyed are visible in places along the wall. These may have been associated turrets or buildings. It is noted that the wall is made from natural local materials such as cobbles and boulders, with gypsum mortar surviving in places. It is not clear when the wall was built, who built it, or why it was built. Pottery found beside the wall suggests that it was constructed between the century AD. The Persians, who ruled between 247 BC and 224 AD, and the Sasanians, who lived between 224 and 651 AD, are two empires that flourished in the area, and either one of them could have built the wall. Helmets from skulls of kids. Two infants buried about 2,100 years ago were found with helmets made from the skulls of other children. The two infants with helmets were found buried with the remains of 9 other people at the site of Salango on the coast of central Ecuador. The helmets were placed tightly over the infant's head. It is likely that the older children's skulls still had flesh when they were turned into helmets, because without flesh, the helmets likely would not have held together, the archaeologists noted. Archaeologists say that this is the only known case in which children's skulls were used as helmets for buried infants. It is not clear what led to the death of the infant or the children. It is also not clear why these helmets were placed on the infant. It may represent an attempt to ensure the protection of these pre-social and wild souls. This is noted in a paper published in the journal Latin American Antiquity. Please click on the card displayed here to watch Top 10 Most Mysterious Finds on Earth. Which other discovery in 2019 do you think should have made this list? Please leave a comment or suggestion below. Like and share this video with friends and family on social media. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel and enable notifications so you will not miss any updates. Thank you for watching.